Hello, my name is Michael, and welcome to Nintendo Nightly, your Monday through Friday source for everything Nintendo. If you want to keep up with all the latest news, impressions, and reviews in the world of Nintendo, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this show on. And today we are going to speak on Mario Tennis Aces. I'm going to give a little review here for those of you wondering my final say on the matter. So let's first talk about the marketing point of focus that Nintendo seems to have had with this game, the story mode. So they put a lot of marketing energy behind this, a lot of beautiful renders and the cutscenes for the beginning of the game, and it's funny that they streamed this on the Treehouse Live during E3 because they probably could have finished it in 2 sittings of that. There's not much content there. In fact, as in terms of like the visuals, the cutscenes and stuff, there's really only like 2 or 3 scenes like that, so you're not going to get to see much on that end. And I'm kind of okay with that, because if you're buying this for a riveting story, you're looking for the wrong game in the first place, and the game is more so focused on the multiplayer, the systems that are at play when you're on the court, rather than forming a riveting story. But it's nice. I see it as a nice bonus. You know, they've got the typical sort of Mario Sports thing where you can play through the cups, and there's a couple different cups that get more difficult, and that's cool. It's always been there. Never really have been much into that myself, but this story mode was a nice change of pace. The unfortunate thing about it is that Mario's the only playable character, which I think is incredibly lame. It would mess up the story, sure, if you were like other characters, but I mean, come on, it's a Mario game. There's not really a story. It's incredibly like juvenile in nature, as you'd expect from a Mario game. So I was really curious why they had that choice. And you can get different rackets. There's a little RPG elements to it. You'll level up, but none of it really feels like anything. It's just kind of aesthetic and nice to have in general. There's some genuinely cool moments thrown among all the challenges that you go through in single player that really do well to mix up the normal tennis formula where you're using your dodging moves to dodge boss attacks. The bosses that they chose are not the coolest bosses in the world. Like, some of them feel like just inanimate objects attacking you, even though some of them are references to old Mario games. I'm not going to show footage here because for those of you who don't want that stuff spoiled, I will keep that footage to myself for now, but you'll know what I mean soon enough. But that being said, there's also some cool challenges that are thrown in where you will sort of have like Hammer Bros and Fire Bros throwing their stuff at you, and you hit it back with the racket and sort of aiming at them. Those are cool challenges that give a Mario flair to what would otherwise be a pretty dull thing of just like play tennis with this guy, play tennis with this guy, play tennis with this guy. Though some of the challenges are so wacky, I used to really feel a sign of relief when I was just doing a regular tennis match, so it could be a little wacky in that sense. The multiplayer, as far as that's concerned, I think that people are taking the fighting game analogy a little too far. You know, it's part of Nintendo's marketing message, and I think it just stuck really well. So you'll see like every reviewer and person talking about it's just like a fighting game, or like one guy was saying it's a better fighting game than Super Smash Bros., which is, you know, a little ridiculous. I mean, there is definitely a refined experience here that champions the system of risk and reward, but that's not really a fighting game thing. That's just like a game thing, you know? In Shovel Knight, you can break your checkpoint and risk having to go back further if you die, but the reward is more coins and more currency that you can use to upgrade your character faster. And so risk and reward is just a good game concept. It's not really exclusive to fighting games. And I really like it in this game. There's different shots that you can do. There's power shots and normal shots and slice shots that you can, based on what kind of court you're on, that will sort of change how fast the ball moves, how much it bounces. So you can be on like the sand court and do a drop shot, and it's really overpowered on that court. You got to be careful about those because they will just plummet into the ground right over the net. And I like that sort of mix-up where you can sort of condition your foe to expect a bunch of drop shots and then lob one over their head and watch them scurry to try and get it back. And you kind of use those mixtures of moves to get someone off their feet and get the winning shot. There's all the new moves that you've probably seen in the commercials in this, where you can have special shots, you can have spike shots where you can aim them with the gyroscope controls on the Joy-Con or the Pro Controller, and I really like those. It really adds some nice spices to the game that really haven't been in any previous Mario Tennis game, and you've got different like dodge moves to do it, and all of these systems kind of culminate to sometimes make points take way too long. And I think the power shot that they have, the main one, is a little too overpowered in the sense where you don't even need to be near the ball, so it perfectly blocks whatever shot there is and fires one off that if it hits you, it'll break your racket and you'll lose the match. I think that concept is a little wacky to me. I feel like it needs to be balanced a little bit, but if it truly is overpowered, then they'll do that. I like that it's going to have continued online support. They just released a patch for it, adjusting the balance to some things. So it's nice to have a Nintendo game that will actually change, where you don't find out that, like, oh, King Dedede can grab Bowser and infinitely and you can't do anything about it, except hope that someone mods the game. So it's nice to see that Nintendo's going to commit to that. And the power meter stuff, it's fun. You can try it out and see if you like it, but the really great part is, check this, they actually let you play regular tennis too, so you can take your pick. And I really love the options that are there. That's where the options kind of end, however. As far as online multiplayer goes, online options with strangers can be pretty restrictive, which I'm sure is a measure that they take to make sure that there's a healthy amount of people playing the same mode for matchmaking. But I feel like, you could make the distinction for, absolutely not playing on hazards or playing on hazards, and those people would find each other. It's not like Splatoon where you're trying to funnel 8 players into the same match and put them with equally skilled players. You're just trying to match 2, maybe 4 people, and when it's 4 people, usually the second person's on your Switch anyway, so really just, again, 2 people. So I'd love to see them expand the amount of online options that they have, especially since Nintendo is expecting us to start paying for this online service. I mean, look, playing with your friends is kind of a rarity. For me to, I only have a finite amount of friends. A finite amount of those friends have Switches. A smaller amount of friends out of that group have Mario Tennis, and then an even smaller amount of people are playing it at the same time as me. So just broaden the options for playing with random people. It's really, really necessary for the health of the Switch and the health of this online service. I really, really hope that they start to do that, but I'm pretty sure they won't, because it's Nintendo. So let's get down to it. How would I recommend this game, or who would I recommend it to? And it really depends. For you single-player players out there, people who don't really like playing online, don't have a whole lot of friends that are interested in video games around you, this is a good rental. I think you could grab this from GameFly or a service like that and play through the story mode through a couple hours, play a couple of the other single-player challenges and cups and stuff. And I would encourage you to jump into some online matches. It's really fun, and honestly, like it's not toxic like other online experiences. You're just kind of playing with someone, and when you match with that one player who's just as good as you, or maybe a little bit better, there's a certain magic in trying to like figure out how to overcome the challenge ahead of you. And for the casual multiplayer people out there, it really comes down to price. I feel like this is the sort of game that will eventually get marked down, so you might wait it out. And also, like, it's a good rental because you can kind of jump into this game. It's not too difficult to learn the basics, but there's a good amount of depth to really mastering them. And so I feel like it's a good rental for that too. And for people who want to be competitive, I haven't really heard much of a tournament scene yet, but if there is going to be one, it's your job to try and make that happen. So see if you can get local tournaments going on the side of, like, say, Smash Brothers tournaments. Probably be the best idea to go there and have a side tournament. But there's enough there to really make it an interesting experience, at least for singles. I don't know about doubles. Doubles can be a little wacky. But honestly, I feel pretty neutral on this game. It's very similar to Kirby Star Allies in the sense that it refines so much about what people like in the series, but it feels like it could have used a little more time in the oven to buff out the content offerings. Being a dad with a full-time job and a side hustle, I don't mind and typically prefer, honestly, shorter experiences that I can easily pop back in and out of. And so if you're trying to scratch the itch in that form and you want something that's not really requiring too much commitment to get good at or to have fun with, and you want to do that in the wacky sports form with wacky creatures from Mario just battling it out, then, this is for you. If not, I think, doesn't hurt at all to rent this. I think it's a fantastic rental, and I imagine Nintendo will continue to do free online demos for the game, just like they've been marketing ARMS and Splatoon. So if you want to give it a try for yourself before you make that plunge, then I'd suggest that you do that. So that's what I think about Mario Tennis Aces. Honestly, if I were to give it a score, I'm not like huge on numbers, but it would be like a 6 or a 7. For me, it does a lot of stuff well, but honestly, and the dumb thing about scores is that, that's the overall experience. But if you really get into the multiplayer, man, sometimes it is just magic, and I've had a ton of fun with friends playing it. And in those moments, it's more of a 9, and in the moments where I'm playing the single player, it's more of a 5. But it just depends what you're looking for. So through all that information, I hope that you have found something that helps you make a good purchasing decision or lack thereof. If you want to purchase the game through Amazon, there's a link below, and if you shop there, I actually get a little commission, and that helps the show grow into a bigger, better thing, and I really appreciate that. Nintendo Nightly is a podcast and a YouTube show, so if you prefer to engage video or audio, there's links in the description to check either, or you can subscribe on the platform you're listening on if you prefer that method of getting that Nintendo dosage every day. And I want to thank you so much for watching again, or listening, whatever it is for you. If you're looking for other stuff to listen to outside the realm of video games, my friend Zach and I just finished the first season of a historical storytelling podcast called Circa. So I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. I'd love for you guys to check that out. Let me know what you think. I haven't gotten a whole lot of feedback from that show right now. It's mostly just going to strangers who aren't leaving any reviews or comments. So I don't know if they like it or they hate it. They listen to it, but I'm not sure. So if you're looking for more stuff, check that out in the description. So that'll be it for today's Nintendo Nightly. I will see you tomorrow with more Nintendo news, impressions, reviews, all that stuff. Boy!